Hola.
Nah, I'm not finna use that. Hey, what's up? That's Cordy. So I don't know what I named this video yet, but if it's called How I Got Into 8 of the Top 10 Schools in America, that's a little bit of clickbait, I'm gonna just let you know that. So I got into Stanford, Yale, UChicago, Northwestern, Washington University in St. Louis, Emory University, Duke University. This always happens. Vanderbilt. I got into Vanderbilt as well. And maybe half of these are on the top 10 list, but I just created my own categories. Like, for example, Emory University is the #2 Christian college in America. And Duke's #1. Yeah, that's how I used to list. But if you want, hey, if you want to learn the secrets of how I did it, just keep watching. Oh wait, I meant to record this on my phone with the mic. But before we get into it, let me throw out a few disclaimers. Number one, luck is involved. You are lucky that you're able to watch this video right now. I am lucky that I was able to get good on tests in schools. I am lucky that schools are pushing for more diversity in their schools. I am lucky that I was able to do the things that I did. I mean, we all have qualities that we can't change. That's sort of the beauty of it though. We have to work with what we have, and it's different from the next person. That's the thing that's really exciting to me. And number three, if you don't get in, literally, it's not the end of the world. It literally took me, I know this sounds garbage or whatever, but it literally took me until I got into the colleges to realize that it wasn't that big of a deal. If you don't get into a high-ranking institution, your life is not over. Let me tell you that. Before the things happened, I thought that I would. But honestly, you're gonna do great things whether or not you get into one of these colleges. If you get in, great. You get a little bit of a head start. But if you don't, I mean, hey, you just work hard and you can still get to the same position. Low-key, having the internet to watch this video, being in the internet age, being in the 21st century, literally anything is possible. You don't need the aid of some scholastic corporation, as I'm gonna be talking about. You don't need the aid of some scholastic corporation to do what you want to do. I mean, we're already on Zoom University anyway, so what's the difference between this and YouTube? I can't tell you, sheesh. So I said that these schools are scholastic corporations because that's the term I like to use with these colleges. Schools are a business. They're in it to make as much money as they can. Harvard University has $40 billion in their reservoirs. Yale University has $35 billion. Stanford has $20 billion or something like that. It's in the best interest of these schools to make money. And the way that they do that is by admitting the students they think have the most potential to succeed in a particular field. Basically, they're just building up rep. Which means that they need a robust class. You can't have just one of the same thing. Say that if you admitted all this one same type of person, someone who's very interested in computer science or into economics, then that means that you have all alumni that are gonna be bankers or finances or something. And if you're only producing engineers and bankers, and then you have other institutions producing presidents and scholars and professors, then seriously, are you any good? You might as well quit. So you might be asking at this point, well, what makes an applicant different? Glad you asked. It's literally just a game of supply and demand. If they don't have enough of you, you get accepted, and if they have too much, they'll reject you. It's really simple as that. For example, look at underrepresented minorities and legacies. So minorities apply to prestigious universities at lower rates than, namely, white people and Asians. And the reason because of that is very multifaceted, very complex. But basically it boils down to the infrastructure of society, encouraging certain people to strive for education and others to simply abandon it. But essentially minorities have a lower demand because there's simply less of them applying. And as for legacies, now, not only are there not as many legacies around, because how many alumni are really going around versus the entire population, and often with legacies there's money involved, which basically boils down to legacies being 6 to 8 times more likely to get into Harvard and 3 times as likely to get into Stanford. Now don't get me wrong, it's still difficult to get in. For Stanford, if you're a legacy, that's a 12 to 15% acceptance rate. That's still very hard. And minorities still have similar rates of admissions to everyone else. But of course, it's not the end all be all. These schools are looking at everything. So then, you might be asking at this point, you're probably not, I just have it written down on the paper. But you're probably asking at this point, what do I have in supply that these schools are demanding? Well, number one, let me tell you, grades alone simply won't do it. It doesn't matter if you have a 4.8 GPA. If you don't have anything else, then you're gonna get rejected. And test scores and school-sponsored extracurriculars aren't as good either, because there's so many people out there with great test scores. For example, if you score a 36 on the ACT, that means you're in the top 1%, right, of all test takers. But there's still 18,000 other people that got a 36 that year, so you're not alone. And as for getting good grades, there's 17,000 high schools in the United States. That means that there's 17,000 valedictorians. Yale only lets in 1,700 per year, at the 2,000 at most, so. And being a president of a club, yeah, no. The best thing that you can do to differentiate yourself is find something that you're really good at or you really enjoy and dominate it as much as you can. It doesn't matter what you're doing really, as long as you're dominating it. Like for example, if you take the school route and you're taking Calculus BC in your freshman year, then you don't need to watch this video, you're fine. But in essence, what you want to do is find something that's little in supply. And the best way to do that by far is literally just by being you in high school. Explore your interests, what you want to do. That's the best way, by far, easily to get in. Doing something that you really enjoy has the best chance of success. And you'll have fun along the way. And if you don't get in, you still have the experience in that category. You're the only person that knows what that is. You could be like a blend of things. You really like doing theater, but you also like playing soccer. It could be that you're like the school president and you've helped the school fund like an outreach effort to lower income communities. It could be something like that. Or even you making a significant difference in your community to where people see you and say, man, that's a leader right there. Those are the types of people that they're looking for. So do something that's you, and you're the only one that knows what that is. For me, it was this YouTube channel that I have about basketball. More about that later. So essentially, my goal was to be an applicant that had so much going for them that I simply could not be rejected. And it worked for the most part. Princeton rejected me. Now, how exactly did I do that? Well, I'm glad you asked. I know you didn't ask, but still. It's great to have a conversation with you guys sometimes. Alright. So, first off, academics. See you guys there. Welcome to Blue Springs High School. This is where I started my last 3 years of my academic career, and where I did a lot of impressive things, I guess, academically here, which of course is the number one gate that you want to pass. Think of it as like 3 gates that you need to go through. So a good rule of thumb is taking as many classes that are as difficult as possible that you can also manage. For me, that meant taking the classes I was interested in but also were advanced. So for example, my freshman year, we had like this freshman center thing that's like a mile down the street. I took all honors classes and like 1 pre-AP class, and that was it. Pre-AP bio, I think, yeah. And then my sophomore year, I took Algebra 2, AP European History, and AP Biology. It was something that I actually wasn't going to take until my counselor told me I should. And then I took Pre-AP Chem along with that, and Spanish 2, Graphic Design, and Intro to Theater, which is going to come up later. And an advanced English class called Royal and Comp or something. So there I got all A's, finished the year like quote-unquote number 1 in my class, because sophomores at the school typically don't take more than 1 AP class, and I managed to take 2 along with 2 other people. We were tied, but I was technically number 1 in class. And actually another trick, I'm gonna tell you, my sophomore year was actually my hardest year of high school. I know that sounds weird, but like I needed to acclimate to the AP class environment. And then once I did that, everything sort of came along easy, because I know that a lot of you guys are bad at time management. I'm bad at time management. So not knowing how to deal with that was something that was really tough at first, but it got way better as it kept going on. So as my junior year rolled around, I sort of figured out how to take it. So I took 3 AP classes instead of 2 my junior year. I took AP Lang, AP Government, and AP US History. And then from there, I took a marketing class, a pre-AP calc class, and also a video production class. Now this school offers a lot of AP classes. It's actually has like 2,500 students, it has like 2,500 students. It doesn't matter if you don't have a school that's that big, if you're thinking like, oh, that's tiny, or oh, that's huge. It doesn't really matter. As long as you're doing good in the context of your school, that's all that you really need to do. In my case, I just made sure that I was in the top 1% of the class. Now, that's something you don't necessarily have to do. You can be in the top 5%, top 10%. It matters, but not as much as you think it does. Just make sure that you're getting mostly A's and you'll be good. So my senior year though, I sort of cheated with the GPA and all that stuff. Let me tell you why. So there's this special program over in a nearby city called Lee Summit. That's sort of like this career-oriented program or something like that, where basically you get to take half the day off and you get to go to this special high-tech career-oriented facility with a bunch of cool stuff. Basically I got to work with like TV equipment and $2,000 iMacs, and actually it counted as 3 classes that were weighted, which was something that was a little bit cheating, because after taking AP Calculus BC, which I didn't want to, but my class didn't offer AB, so I had to go with that option, and AP Psychology, which is a pretty easy AP class. Then I took College Entrepreneurship and a College English class for my first semester. So technically I got a 5.0 because I took all weighted classes, but that was sort of cheating because half the day was basically a gimme, because it was a digital media class and the teacher was a very, very easy grader. At the second semester I did the same thing, except I took like a personal finance class, but that doesn't really matter. So my senior year was really a huge GPA booster for me, which actually, the funny thing is I wasn't really chasing the GPA like that. I say that now, but I mean, of course it was a good thing. But I started to learn at that point that
academics weren't actually everything, that it was the other things that you did alongside your academics that really count. In the end, all that matters is how you stand in the context of your class. And for me, I ranked 3rd out of roughly 550 students. But again, I sort of cheated low-key, and being top 1% really isn't the end-all be-all. And for my AP exams, so my sophomore year when I took biology and I took Euro, I had a 5 in biology and I had a 4 in AP Euro. Then for AP Government, AP Lang, and A-Push, I all had 5s there. And for AP Calculus and AP Psychology, I got both 4s in. So again, one quick tip, like AP scores don't actually matter like that. But yeah, that's what I got there. And then as for my test scores, which most of which I think I took over here, but some of them I took somewhere else. The first time I took the ACT, I got a 32 with a 35 or 36 in reading, a 35 in English. No, I got a 36 in English, 35 in reading, 31 in math, and 25 in science. I actually didn't practice that much, unfortunately, so I sort of didn't have my test stamina, even though I took AP test, which sort of really prepared me, which is something that you guys, someone's doing donuts. Why? You don't got to be doing that, fam. Live your life. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. I'm so stupid. I just messed up my transcript. This is the one thing I didn't want to mess up. I messed it up, bruh. That's another no, by the way. AP tests are such a good practice for the ACT, because AP tests are actually harder than the ACT, obviously, because it's a high school test as opposed to taking college level tests. So you study all year for a certain subject, say biology, and then all of a sudden you know how to think scientifically and what they're asking for. But unfortunately, my ACT, I took that my junior year, so I was a year out of AP Bio, so I sort of forgot how to do everything, and I was tired at the end of it. So I ended up bombing the last part, and I got a 25. Now, the next time I took a standardized test was in May of 2019. I believe it was just after school had ended. I took the SAT, and I got a 740 in reading and a 740 in math, which was okay, but the score that I was looking for was 1520 or higher to make sure that I could be distinguished really a lot. So then I went ahead and took the ACT a month later, and I got a 35 on it. Okay, I know I'm talking about these tests. I know I'm talking about these tests, the crazy scores and all that, but listen, I could have gotten in with my 32. I could have probably gotten in with a 30. This is the first barrier. This is just one factor. This is holistic admissions. This is something that in the long run doesn't matter that much. Like my 35 or my 32 or my 1480 or whatever, when I'm going to college, it doesn't matter anymore. And the schools know that it doesn't matter anymore. So just make sure that you get a decent enough score that it helps you. And if it doesn't help you, then just don't submit it. Like, all the colleges are going to test optional anyway. And another tidbit of facts, actually, if you get a 33 on your ACT, which is roughly I think that's a 1490 on the SAT, that's basically the same thing as getting a perfect. So a 33 on the ACT is the same thing as getting a 36, and the 1490 on the SAT is almost the same thing as getting a 1600 to these schools. So know that, and don't worry about it too much. And I was lucky that I'm good at taking tests, and the AP classes helped a lot, and that's what happened. So now we've talked about what I've done at this school for academics. So let's head on over to the extracurriculars, all right? I'm gonna see y'all there. Watch out. All right, now on to the extracurriculars. My fault for not wearing a shirt, by the way. I didn't have my singlet. I forgot to bring it, of course, because I'm genius, right? The first extracurricular that I ever did at this school was, of course, what you're seeing right now. And cross country, of course. Cross country was technically the first thing that I did. Now, see, extracurriculars are important because it shows the schools that you can be productive in more than one way other than just academics. Now, it's not the end-all be-all. If you're really good at something else, you don't necessarily have to do any school-sponsored extracurriculars. But for me, one of the ways I really expressed my productivity was through running. At first, it was compulsory. I didn't really like to do it, but as the years went on and I got a little bit better, I was enticed to keep going on. And if there's any freshmen watching this video, trust me, listen to me on this. In fact, let me get a little closer, actually, because this needs emphasis. Listen to me, freshmen. If you are not doing a sport, do one. If you think that you're going to quit a sport, don't do it, or go to another sport, because sports are so important with personal development. For one, when I was a freshman, I did not want to do cross country or track at all. And now over the summer, when I haven't had much to do, I realized how important having something to structure around your life really is. If you're not very athletic like I wasn't before, you'll hate it at first. But once you get a few years in, you're going to really enjoy it. And if you don't, you'll be really glad that you did later on in the future. Trust me on that. But anyway. But yeah, let's move this camera. I want something a little bit more interesting than this. And side note, this goes out to anyone who's not a freshman, but even juniors and sophomores and even seniors. Trying something new is really integral in these formative years. And sports get your body better, and by extension your mind, which of course you're going to need for these schools. But of course, if that's not the path that you want to take, that's perfectly fine too. I just really strongly recommend it as someone who wasn't athletic before and then had to go into the world of athletics. It was really something good. But anyway. That's a little bit better now. See, I got my clothes on and everything, so we're now good on that department. So as for my other school-sponsored extracurriculars, I only did one thing with a club, really, and that was with the National Honor Society, or NHS, that most of you guys know about. There, I was the vice president, and I helped volunteer for a blood drive, and I set up an event, but that's really about it for all the clubs that I did in high school. So wait, hold on. I actually did 2 clubs. I forgot the other one could be counted as one. So the second club that I did was DECA, which, if you guys don't know, is sort of like this marketing slash business slash entrepreneurship club that you can take and basically compete across the country in. So there are like 3 levels of competition. You have it's a lot like let's say debate or FBLA or something like that. So that was the second one I was involved in. I was only in it for 2 years, my junior and senior year, before it was cut short due to COVID and everything. But I participated in the sports and entertainment marketing section, where I won my district competitions twice and made it to state, and then from there made it to internationals, which I'm going to talk about more in a bit. Now, besides those 2 clubs and those sports, I didn't really do anything else except for one thing at the end of my senior year, which was participate in the musical. When I took Intro to Theater, I discovered that I really liked acting. And fun fact about me, I was actually in the 6th grade play. I was the main lead, and I hadn't done it ever since, again, because of track and everything. So I made sure in my senior year that I did it, and I actually quit track for it, but in the end it turned out all the same because of track getting canceled to COVID and everything else happening. Now, for outside of school, I only put down one extracurricular, which was me being the representative of my tribal community here in Kansas City. If you haven't seen the bracelet, I am a Kenyan, and more specifically, I'm of the Kalenjin tribe, the guys that run really fast. I think like Kipchoge or Cheptanui or basically any OP runner, they're probably Kalenjin. So we have a little community here in Kansas City, and I was sort of chosen as the youth representative because, you know, what you call an archetypical African child, great grades, great behavior, all that stuff. So, and I was also the one that was most interested. So I was able to put down me being the youth representative of our community. We have our own center and everything here. That's basically it for extracurriculars. Now, again, extracurriculars, like, sure, they're important, again, to show discipline, but at the same time, they're also in really high supply. Like, basically anyone can be the vice president of a club, or, you know, be the youth representative of like a community center, or like volunteer at a church or something like that. But it's really good to have. So admissions officers know that you're doing more than just one thing. So with that being said, we've covered the academics that I've done, and we've covered the extracurriculars that I participated in. 2 very important gates or objectives to cover as you go for your third and your really most important thing, your distinguishers. So for that, let's go back to where we started. Yo, this ain't where we started. Bro, I gotta Oh, yeah. This is the end of the video. But yeah, you're here at the end of the video. If you haven't liked the video, what are you doing? And make sure that you subscribe too, so you can be tuned in for part 2, which is coming out real soon. Then we'll proceed as normal, alright? Sure, that's all I got. Thanks for watching.